Welcome back, super friends and super family. I am Thor, your friendly neighborhood god of thunder. Today I'm reacting to The Shawshank Redemption. So just real quick before we get into this, I have seen this movie before. It was about 10 years ago, just one time. So now that I'm watching a bunch of classic movies for the first time, like Forrest Gump, Castaway, Schindler's List coming out soon. Most of these I've never seen before. I have seen this once before. So this is going to be more of a commentary reaction, just in case you're only interested in the first time watching. But I am very excited to revisit this movie. Obviously, it's based off the novel by Stephen King. I know Morgan Freeman is in it. I don't know the name of the lead actor, but I remember from the first time I watched it being very impressed by him. And I just think it's a movie with a lot of depth, a lot of, themes that I believe I'll pick up on and appreciate much more now that I'm older, that were probably lost on me the first time I watched it. So I'm just very excited to check this one out and kind of give my thoughts about it, give my comments, and enjoy the movie again. So thank you to everyone for watching along. Thank you to everyone who supports along on Patreon. That's where you can watch the full version of this movie, all the classic movies. And like I said, next week I'm reacting to Schindler's List, which I have never seen before. So that movie's out on Patreon for early access, and it's going to be coming right out on YouTube next week. Yeah, let's just get into the movie. The Shawshank Redemption. I believe that the director is the same director. Oh, Tim Robbins. Okay, that's the lead. But I believe the director of this movie is the same as The Green Mile. So that's exciting to me because I really enjoyed how that movie was directed. Just a subtle sound effect in the sound design when he grabs that gun.
Mr. Dufresne, describe the confrontation you had with your wife the night that she was murdered.
I do like the choice to cut away from that moment as well, just straight to the courtroom scene.
It was very bitter. She said she was glad I knew.
Jeez.
All the sneaking around. She said she wanted a divorce in Reno.
I mean, what a brutal thing to hear as a married partner.
I'm not sure. I was confused, drunk.
I feel like his testimony is so not self-serving that it helps you believe how honest he is. Leading the witness. Objection, Your Honor.
Yet you still maintain that you threw your gun into the river before the murders took place. Very convenient.
I would honestly suspect him, just hearing those facts. Like, the odds of someone else coming in and killing him under those same similar circumstances, come on.
Since I am innocent of this crime, sir, I find it decidedly inconvenient.
That's a very good point. It depends on your point of view who is inconvenienced exactly. I mean, there have to be few pains in this world worse than finding someone you're married to, gleefully cheating on you.
You strike me as a particularly icy and remorseless man.
Oh, just by his expression, dude.
I hereby order you to serve 2 life sentences back to back. 1 for each of your victims. So be it.
The irony of 2 life sentences.
I can honestly say that I'm a changed man.
What is that based on exactly? You know what I mean? Is that just their subjective judgment of someone's character in that interview, or are there strict parameters that they're supposed to abide by when deciding whether someone can be released? I know so little about how that process works, or if it was different back when this movie took place as well.
Hey, Red. How'd it go? Same old shit, different day. And how you feel? Next week.
Yeah, I got rejected last week.
It happens.
At least they're in it together. I know that's a small mercy, but it's something.
Yes, sir. I'm a regular Sears and Roebuck.
I don't get that reference. Sears and Roebuck? Like Sears the store? I'm sorry. I mean, what a glorious, like, helicopter shot. I'm assuming it's a helicopter because I don't think they used drones when this movie was filmed.
On the outside, he'd been vice president of a large Portland bank. Good work for a man as young as he.
I wonder how old exactly he's supposed to be. I'm not sure if they're going to mention his age. Are they just excited because it's new recruits? Like new prisoners? The guards do not look excited. I mean, having seen the Green Mile, I can see like why their perspective and feeling is very different. I would be so terrified getting off this bus, I will just say.
You speak English, butt steak? You follow this officer.
He just asked the first guy if he spoke English. Everyone else, he's like, well, you better. I guess he's the guy in the front, so he needs to know. The rest don't really matter.
Hey, Fish, come over here!
Why do they call him Fish? He looks so out of place and understandably uncomfortable.
Eight from the front. He'll be first.
Oh, bullshit.
The first to cry? I don't remember what they gamble on. That guy looks so uncomfortable too.
Looked like a stiff breeze would blow him over. That was my first impression of the man.
But sometimes first impressions are spot on. Sometimes you're dead wrong.
Oh, brave souls.
He's so confident that his bet is right. I really like that camera shot and that point of view.
Rule number 1, no blasphemy.
That's the first rule?
The other rules, you'll figure out as you go along.
What about no killing people or no violence or no fighting?
What do we eat?
Don't look at him like you're so angry. What if he's starving? Was hitting him really necessary to emphasize your point?
Put your trust in the Lord.
I'm guessing this guy is a very Old Testament kind of leader, right? If I remember correctly, I think it's like the head guard who helps like horrible things happen to the prisoners, like horrible.
That's enough.
And with the pressure from those hoses, that's gotta be extremely uncomfortable. Let alone like cold, right?
Nothing left but all the time in the world to think about it.
I mean, with quotes like that, that has to be pulled straight from the book, right?
Somebody always breaks down crying. Happens every time.
Okay, yeah, that's what they bet on.
The
That's
only
what I
question.
thought. Did you get that baseball signed by Steve McQueen there, Morgan Freeman? I wonder, is that like is there an updated reference? Like, what are new prisoners called nowadays when they first show up? I honestly don't blame anyone for breaking down. I really don't. That's true, he did.
I'm not even gonna count to 1. You will shut the fuck up or I'll sing you a lullaby.
Imagine he actually sings him a lullaby.
Open that cell.
You could see that other guy, though, nervous for him, knowing how cruelly he's going to be treated. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I knew this guy was a real bastard. That's what I thought I remembered. Holy, that's insane. Do you realize how painful that is? What, is he like the older brother of that sadistic guard from the Green Mile? And I hate that of all the people who get punished, it's him. It's the guy who is just too terrified. Like, you weren't even brave enough to take one of the more aggressive prisoners and beat them. You know, you're...
His first night in the joint, Andy Dufresne cost me 2 packs of cigarettes. He never made a sound.
That's a cool way to kind of show maybe some underlying strength of character. I mean, I'm impressed with the filmmaking just from, like, the size of these sets and the number of extras and the coordination with, like, the logistics of everything involved in shooting scenes like this. I mean, prison has got to be like school, picking where you eat at school, but with the stakes, like, elevated so high. And that food looks disgusting, too. Yeah. Be grateful for, having food without that stuff. What, are you gonna save it for later, dude? Oh. It's so similar to, like, the mouse in the Green Mile, right?
I believe I owe that boy a great big sloppy kiss when I see him.
Cigarettes instead.
Hey, Tyrell.
They're all so envious that he's the one who won.
How's that horse of mine doing anyway?
Dead? Busted his head up pretty good.
Holy
Gone
sh...
home for the night. Poor bastard laid there to this moment.
Okay, that is murder. He should be serving a sentence right alongside them. That is completely unnecessary violence. There is no justification for that.
I was just wondering if anyone knew his name.
Doesn't fucking matter what his name was. He's dead.
I do think that's very revealing of Andy's character, though, that he still wants to know.
Anybody get to you yet? Hey, we all need friends in here. I could be a friend to you.
If someone said that to me in the shower, I would be so terrified.
Hard to get. I like that.
I'm not surprised one bit. I do remember that some horrific things do happen to him.
Hey, what you in here for?
Didn't do it. Lawyer fucked me.
Is that also a thing like that goes on in prisons? Like everyone claims they're innocent?
No, sir. I have no enemies here.
It's so interesting he calls him sir, like a sign of respect.
You have to be human first. They don't qualify.
Shh. What a line. You hear someone describe a group of characters like that, you know they are bad news.
My normal markup's 20%.
That's not even too bad for a markup, honestly.
Price goes up. Let's make it an even $10.
10 it is.
It does also give you an insight into his character, like how he's a businessman, but he has a fairness to him and an ethic, like he doesn't want him to use it for violence. I feel like there's more of a story there, but I don't remember.
I think it would be fair to say I liked Andy from the start.
Yeah, you could tell, almost in spite of himself, he likes him. I would read so many books if I was in prison. That's how I would try. When I wasn't busy just trying to survive, I would want to use my spare time reading. At least teach myself something with all that time. Oh yeah, okay. I do remember this scene. I mean, this is why you need to make friends in prison, because on your own, you just can't. You can't survive.
I wish I could tell you that. But prison is no fairy tale world. He never said who did it. But we all knew.
Yeah, and you don't need to show any more. Like, I actually like the way that they cut away from that scene. Like, you don't need to be more graphic to get across the horror of that situation.
The sisters kept at him. Sometimes he was able to fight him off. Sometimes not. And that's how it went for Andy. That was his routine.
I mean, just to casually say you're going through something like that for 2 years is insane.
More than 100 men volunteered for the job.
Wallace E. Hunger.
That's why it pays to have a well-connected friend.
Ran off years ago. Figured him for dead anyway. So anyway, this lawyer.
Jeez. Doesn't surprise me with this guy, though.
$1 million?
That got everyone's attention.
35,000. That's what he left me.
I'm surprised he left you anything when you don't even care about whether he's dead or not.
Some shit. What do you think the government's gonna do to me?
Oh, please, please. Oh, so it's 15 grand instead of 35 grand. Relax. That's an amazing thing to happen.
Andy, you nuts. Keep your eyes on your mouth, man. Andy.
I know, I understand Red. It's like, dude, I got you this spot. Like, do good work.
Some brother. Shit.
I forget, does he offer to help him somehow?
Every penny. You better start making sense.
What an amazing camera shot right there.
I'd only ask 3 beers apiece for each of my co-workers.
Co-workers, get him. That's rich, ain't it?
I think a man working outdoors feels more like a man.
What a low price to ask for such a huge favor. But it's really smart of Andy. Really smart. And gutsy of him.
We sat and drank with the sun on our hell. We could have been tarring the roof of one of our own houses.
Shh, the writing in this is just, it captures the emotion of the moment so well.
Want a cold one, Andy?
No thanks. Gave up drinking.
Really? He's not even gonna have a cold beer under the circumstances.
I think he did it just to feel normal again. If only for a short while.
I agree with that assessment from Red.
Chess. And there's a game of kings.
What?
Civilized.
And a total fucking mystery. I hate it.
I'm on Andy's side. I know how to play chess. I don't know how to play checkers.
And we getting to be kind of friends, aren't we?
I'd say so.
Murder. Same as you.
Innocent.
Only guilty man in Shawshank.
Dang, he admits to it. I mean, I can't believe I don't remember all these gigantic character things, but I really don't. I don't even remember if they reveal, like, the circumstances of who Red killed. I don't know what movie this is from. I'm assuming this is a real movie. Maybe it's not.
Yeah, I'm known to locate certain things from time to time. What do you want?
I like how that shows the dynamic of their friendship, you know? That it, like, shows they're, like, repeating those lines in jest that they used when they first met.
You should know that sudden serious brain injury causes the victim to bite hard. In fact, I hear the bite reflex is so strong, they have to pry the victim's jaws open with a crowbar.
I don't know if that's true or not, but what a savage thing to say to someone in this situation.
Not a read, you ignorant fuck.
The guts of this man.
And
Oh
even his
my
friends,
gosh.
what they Andy spent a month in the infirmary. Boggs spent a week in the hole.
How is that all his punishment for nearly killing someone?
The sisters never laid a finger on Andy again. And Boggs never walked again.
Shh.
To my knowledge, he lived out the rest of his days drinking his food through a straw.
I mean, I do not pity the guy. I really don't.
Man likes to play chess. Let's get him some rocks.
I mean, how could you not like Red? Honestly. Can you imagine, though, if one of the guards, like, saw someone taking the rocks and thought they were collecting it for a weapon and then beat them up? Like, you gotta be careful doing this stuff.
What the hell is it then? It's a horse apple. Oh, horse shit.
I would be frustrated, too. It's like, oh, he was dead serious. Don't smell your hands after that.
Also got a big shipment in that week. Of course, the most important item. Rita Hayworth herself.
Is it crazy that I have no idea who Rita Hayworth is? I mean, I'm assuming she's a famous actress, you know, model. I think she's the same one from that movie, but... No charge, welcome back. Red, you are like the MVP of this movie right now.
Heads up. Tossing the cells.
That's not much warning, but it's cool he's trying to give them some type of warning. Yeah, don't look at me, I'm just a good little boy reading my Bible like I always do. Do they really need to, like, just throw all their personal possessions like that? Like, completely without any concern or care?
Turn around, face the warden.
Face to face with the antagonist.
Pleased to see you reading this. Any favorite passages?
Watch ye therefore for when the master of the house cometh.
Okay, he's got a sense of humor. Come on.
But you'll have the light of life.
John chapter 8, verse 12.
Dang, he really knows his Bible.
Exceptions can be made.
I mean, knowing that he escapes, obviously, and that's what he uses to cover up what he's tunneling, he must have been so nervous there. Like, watching his poker, he has a good poker face, I'm telling you.
Salvation lies within.
Yes, sir.
Doesn't he hide his tool in the Bible, too? So I'm sure there's some irony right there. I think that's where he hides it. It does not surprise me. That does not surprise me in the least that that guy has that quote on his wall.
You enjoy working in the laundry?
Yes, it's a passion of mine.
It'd be nice to have some company down here for a change.
Oh, great. Just when you're having a nice little human connection moment, someone's got to shout at you.
So, Mr. Deakins.
And then Andy says, Mr. Deacon, you want your sons to go to Harvard or Yale?
What a wit that Andy has. That's the part of him that's underappreciated. Like, they all recognize that he's smart, but he's funny too.
Making a few friends, huh, Andy?
I wouldn't say friend.
Hey, friends in high places. It's just smart.
A wonderful pet to have.
That's a very good way to put it.
Gonna ask for something. Ask for pool table.
That guy's like, I don't read.
As far as they're concerned, only 3 ways to spend the taxpayers' hard-earned when it comes to prison. More walls, more bars, more guards. Still, I'd like
That's a healthy philosophy.
you write your letters if it makes you happy. I'll even mail them for you. How's that?
I really do like Andy's spirit, though, that despite everyone telling him that it's been tried and it's useless, that doesn't discourage him in the least.
The following April, Andy did tax returns for half the guards at Shawshank.
I mean, come on. Do you know how much they owe him? Like, lots of cigarettes, lots of beers. Like, that is no small favor to be doing for all these people.
The guards on the opposing teams all remembered to bring that W-2s.
So damn right, the holster too. See, that's tax deductible. You can write that off.
I will tell you this, I'll prefer Andy's advice over anyone at H&R Block.
In fact, it got so busy at tax time, got me out of the wood shop a month out of the year, and that was fine.
I like, though, how he, like, kind of returns a favor to Red. Like, he never forgets his friends.
Brooks, look at his neck, for God's sake.
Oh, man, it's crazy as a rat in a tin shithouse is what.
Oh, hey, well, that's enough out of you.
I mean, to be fair, if I was Hayward with the guy who had been held with a knife to my throat, I'd be a little bit, you know, upset.
Probably couldn't get a library card if you tried. You know what I'm trying to say?
Red, I do believe you're talking out of your ass.
No, he's not.
So you depend on him.
I 100% think that's true, like, psychologically. But if anyone is, you know, educated on the topic, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And this poor guy, too, like, he seems like everyone loves him. Everyone respects him. The guards are shaking his hands as he leaves. I mean, I'm sure 50 years ago he did something horrible to someone. I don't want to forget that past life, that he probably ruined someone's lives in a horrible way. But just to look at the man now, it is really difficult not to just feel so bad for him.
I saw an automobile once when I was a kid, but now they're everywhere.
That's crazy. That's crazy to think, like, how much has changed, even those simple things. It's like, how do you have any semblance of a social life? How do you have a job? How do you, you know, pay your bills?
Last time he didn't double bag and the bottom near came out.
Oh, come on, you guys. Just look at the guy. You're really giving an old-timer that much crap, lady? You bet double bag.
Jake might just show up and say hello, but he never does.
Oh, that's so sad he misses Jake. That's his Wilson.
Maybe I should get me a gun and rob the food wagon. Send me home. I could shoot the manager while I was at it. Sort of like a bonus.
Jeez.
Don't kick up any fuss. Not for an old crook.
I mean, I remember that was the end of him.
Sorry, I put a knife to his throat.
And just seeing their reaction, you could tell that what they had with him was an actual friendship. It wasn't just utilitarian, right? They care about him.
This is $200. In addition,
He smiles and then he sees the head guard. He, like, turns away.
We trust this will fill your needs. We now consider the matter closed. Please stop sending us letters.
I want all this cleared up before the warden gets back.
Look at that. Persistence pays off. And I like how that one side guard is rooting for him.
It only took 6 years.
Hey, you have time, like they said earlier.
Andy, do you hear that?
Now this is gutsy to do, man. This is so gutsy. I don't know if it's advisable. I forget what happens to him as a punishment. I mean, seeing how it just stops their whole world is just so epic and awesome.
Open the door.
I mean, how badass is it, like, having him be so relaxed and enjoying it, and knowing the inevitable punishment is coming? Come on, Warden, it's not like he's playing rap music. I'm sure that would really rile him up. Okay, you know you just doubled your punishment, though, man.
Andy got 2 weeks in the hole for that little stunt.
That's actually not nearly as bad of a punishment as I would have thought.
Couldn't play something good, huh?
Oh, please, don't give me complaints.
They broke the door down before I could take requests.
Yeah, exactly.
So they let you tote that record player down there, huh?
It's in here.
I mean, come on, not literally. Yeah, guys.
There's something inside that they can't get to, that they can't touch. It's yours.
What an amazing like philosophy and outlook on life.
Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane. It's got no use on the inside. You better get used to that idea.
Hmm.
Like Brooks did.
Does say a lot about Red though, and I can see what he's saying to a degree. I mean, obviously I think Andy is the more enlightened of the two, but I can see like how Red probably has to close off that side of himself that even thinks about hope, because it's just too painful when you keep getting rejected. And the way that this is edited, us hearing Red's kind of philosophy in response to this scene that we saw at the beginning of him getting rejected, like the placement of these scenes is very deliberate.
30 years. Jesus, when you say it like that.
You wonder where it went?
I mean, that is crazy. I can't begin to imagine.
Not right now.
The restraint and the amount of emotion that Morgan Freeman just conveyed in those last two scenes, like, this has got to be one of his best performances, and he is a prolific actor. I mean, that must have been such a popular poster of Marilyn Monroe, I'm assuming, back in the day, right? Like, even I recognize that iconic moment. I've never even seen the movie that it's from.
They couldn't buy him off with just a $200 check. Appropriations Committee voted an annual payment of $500 just to shut him up. And you'd be amazed how far Andy could stretch it.
Count of Monte Cristo
That's Cristo, you dumb shit.
by Alexandre Dumbass. Dumbass.
Dumbass. You know what that's about? You'll like it. It's about a prison break.
I wonder how many people in prison have read The Count of Monte Cristo. I'm just curious.
By the year Kennedy was shot, Andy had transformed a storage room smelling of rat turds and turf into the best prison library.
I mean, that's an amazing achievement, and he deserves so much credit for doing that.
No free ride, but rather a genuine progressive advance.
Genuine. How much is genuine about you, sir?
You be sure and thank Maisie for this fine pie.
And behind every shady deal, behind every dollar earned, there was Andy, keeping the books.
I feel like that's a huge mistake for the warden. Like, you, of all people, can afford someone to help you with your books. For you to be that cheap to trust someone who, you know, I forget exactly how his storyline wraps up, but I'm pretty sure he gets some type of justice, right?
Tell them they overstarched my shirts again. They're going to hear about it from me. How do I look?
I am sure you've left several bad Yelp reviews, sir.
By the time Norton retires, I'll have made him a millionaire.
He owes you so much, man.
But who is he?
He's a phantom, an apparition. Second cousin to Harvey the Rat.
I get that reference.
He doesn't exist, except on paper.
Now, I'm sure that the IRS is savvy to this type of technique nowadays, right?
If they ever trace any of those accounts, they're going to wind up chasing a figment of my imagination.
Well, I'll be damned.
I mean, it is pretty impressive.
Shit, you a Rembrandt.
The funny thing is, on the outside, I was an honest man, straight as an arrow. I had to come to prison to be a crook.
That is pretty funny. I feel like there's some commentary about what the conditions are like in prison, too, if that's just the way you have to survive.
Young punk, Mr. Rock and Roll, cocky as hell.
Yeah, you don't want to be too cocky in prison.
Yeah, I've been in and out since I was 13. You name the place, chances are I've been there.
Perhaps it's time you tried a new profession. What I mean is, you don't seem to be a very good thief. Try something else.
Yeah, well, what the hell you know about it?
That is a good point, though, right?
Everybody's innocent in here. Don't you know that?
I like how he's so different from when he first came in. Like, he understands. He fits in a very different way. It's just the change is very apparent.
Don't read so good. Well,
That's a start. It's a start.
we'll get to that.
I mean, something just tells me, like, everything about Andy's personality, I feel like he is just the perfect type of person to be a teacher, right? He's patient, he's smart. I feel like he could work with different types of personalities.
What's he in here for, anyway?
Murder.
The hell you say?
You wouldn't think it to look at the guy. Caught his wife in bed with some golf pro. Greased them both.
Now, I wonder if Red has any doubt in his mind whether Andy actually did that.
So I pick out this guy, go in one night, and do his place. He wakes up, gives me shit, so I killed him. Him and this tasty bitch he was with. She's fucking this prick, see, this golf pro, but she's married to some other guy, some hotshot banker. And he's the one they pinned it on.
I can't imagine what it would be like hearing that.
Well, they'd have his last known address, names of relatives. There's a chance, isn't it? How can you be so obtuse?
And how can he be so callous?
Don't you ever mention money to me again, you sorry son of a
Yeah,
bitch.
that's a mistake. That's a mistake. He's going to feel so threatened.
Solitary, a month.
Yes, sir.
Oh my gosh.
It's all my fault.
Oh, bullshit. You didn't pull the trigger, and you certainly didn't convict him.
It's completely on the warden.
How long's he been here now?
1947? What is that? 19 years?
Can you imagine being in prison for a crime you didn't commit for 19 years? I mean, I know there are examples of, injustice like this that actually exist, but it's just insane.
Kid passed. C+ average. Thought you'd like to know.
That is so cool if the guard tells him. I forget what happens to this guy, but I feel like they do something horrible to him. They don't kill him, do they? I think they do kill him. Don't trust him being that friendly to you. Come on. That's manipulation. That's letting you get your guard down. But of course, he's young. He doesn't know any better.
Tell you, son, this thing really came along and knocked my wind out. It's got me up nights. That's the truth.
I doubt. Well, actually, I think there is some truth to that, but not for any good reason. The level of evil you have to be to commit this act. It's like, I don't know what Bible you are reading from, sir, but it's a joke, your whole moral code.
You will do the hardest time there is. No more protection from the guards. I'll pull you out of that one bunk Hilton and cast you down with the sodomites. You'll think you've been fucked by a train. And the library? Gone. Sealed off brick by brick.
I mean, pure evil, pure evil. He has got to join the rankings for, like, most evil villains of all time. Come on.
You understand me? Catching my drift? Or am I being obtuse?
Shh. Dang. He really took that insult to heart. Has he been holding on to that, like, a whole time? Did he call me obtuse? I think so.
Give him another month to think about it.
Oh my gosh, that is insane. And I really believe that there is, seeing the look on the head guard's face there and just knowing how the warden dealt with that whole situation. I think they really derive pleasure from wielding their power over the prisoners.
I didn't pull the trigger, but I drove her away. And that's why she died, because of me.
I mean, that's not the literal truth at all. That's being way too hard on yourself.
That don't make you a murderer.
Exactly. Come on, let's just get some common sense perspective.
I was in the path of the tornado.
I mean, that's what a perfect metaphor for what happened to him.
It's in Mexico. A little place on the Pacific Ocean. You know what the Mexicans say about the Pacific? No. Say it has no memory. That's where I want to live.
Is that true? I've never heard that.
Whatever mistakes I made, I paid for them and then some.
I mean, I do 100% agree with that.
Get busy living. Or get busy dying.
What a line. What a line.
If you ever get out, find that spot. At the base of that wall, you'll find a rock that has no earthly business in a main hayfield. A piece of black, volcanic glass.
I would have to write these instructions down. I will just say that.
What's buried under there?
You'll have to pry it up to see.
I would be like, get back here, and you are telling me now I am not going to live with that secret, wondering this whole time. But that scene was such an incredible scene. That was so because I feel like the heart and soul of this movie is those two main characters, and I feel like it demonstrated, you know, the core theme and the differences that both of them, you know, feel towards hope.
Every man has his breaking point.
And that is true.
Want to get home?
Just about finished, sir.
It's like, how could you like interact like that with someone after you've treated them so horribly? I mean, I think it's possible. It's just hard to wrap your mind around.
Good having you back, Andy. Place wasn't the same without you.
Oh, you didn't have a slave like doing all your, you know, work and paperwork and shining your shoes, dude? I mean, I really like how concerned Red is for Andy, because he knows something different. I mean, obviously I know what happened, so I know that, you know, he's getting ready to escape, but it's a great way to kind of misdirect the audience, making you wonder, like, oh, is he at the breaking point? Is he getting suicidal? It just is good for the suspense.
That was the longest night of my life.
It's like his concern for his friend is stronger than any personal fear he's ever experienced on the inside.
Oh, my holy God.
They cut away like they don't show us. You have a little present waiting for you.
Cell block question. Start with that friend of his. Who? Him.
Oh, poor Red getting singled out like that. He must be so confused, right?
He must have said something.
Also, Warden.
And it's so smart that he didn't. That's so smart that he didn't, because he knew this would happen to him, you know?
And everyone's in on it. Including her.
We just hear the sound before we even see anything. Oops. I mean, what an iconic shot, like in the hole that he like chiseled away from on their faces of disbelief.
I remember thinking it would take a man 600 years to tunnel through the wall with it. Old Andy did it in less than 20. Oh, Andy loved G. I imagine it appealed to his meticulous nature.
So until this moment right here where a piece of the wall like came apart, was he even planning on escaping? Or was he actually just planning on like doing the chess set and the rocks?
Like I said, in prison, a man will do most anything to keep his mind occupied.
But to sacrifice like that much sleep for a potential escape plan that might get found out anytime?
A handful at a time.
Oh, that's like so much like The Great Escape, right? I mean, this guy was so careless to do all this with him right there. Oh, that's smart.
3 deposits tonight.
And he gives him something else so he looks away. Like, this movie is about hope and humanity, but it's also a little bit of a heist movie. I mean, an escape movie.
I mean, seriously, how often do you really look at a man's shoes?
Not too often, but I feel like that was a huge risk. Like, what if he had been noticed? That would have been a gigantic ordeal. I don't know if it was worth that pair of shoes to take that risk. The determination. And you gotta not be too claustrophobic. And honestly, like, there are some bad things about having to escape during a storm, but I think some of the lightning and thunder, you know, the thunder, you know, can help cover up the noise you might be making as you make your escape. Yeah, that is an unpleasant experience. That's an understatement.
500 yards. That's the length of 5 football fields.
Jeez, man. I mean, there's a reason this is one of the famous moments of all time in cinema, right?
Until that moment, he didn't exist. Except on paper.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot that he used that to like gain his new identity, which is so genius of him.
Could you add this to your outgoing mail?
I'd be happy to.
He's so comfortable and relaxed, which is so true to his character. Me personally, I'd be looking over my shoulder. I don't think I'd be able to enjoy my freedom while I was still in the country.
All told, he blew town with better than $370,000 of Warden Norton's money. Severance pay for 19 years.
Yeah, honestly, he earned that money and more. Whoops. Whoops. Didn't want to see that headline, did you? I love that it zooms in on that on his wall. The hypocrisy all falling apart. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
I wasn't there to see it. I hear Byron Hadley started sobbing like a little girl when they took him away.
Doesn't surprise me in the least. Oh, does he kill himself? Does he shoot at them or does he kill himself? I feel like he kills himself, right? Okay, yeah.
Was to wonder how the hell Andy Dufresne ever got the best of him.
I mean, he did some pretty stupid stuff.
Not long after the warden deprived us of his company, I got a postcard in the mail.
The sarcasm in that line, deprived us of his company.
When I picture him heading south in his own car with the top down, it always makes me laugh.
And that's how you can tell a true friend, right? Like someone who can actually be happy for your success in a genuine way.
Headed for the Pacific.
And to see a wide shot of the ocean like that after the previous, establishing shots on the dirt and the walls of the prison is such a meaningful contrast. I mean, of course, I feel like he would be legendary at that prison for the next 100 years.
I have to remind myself that some birds aren't meant to be caged.
I mean, of course you're going to miss your friend, of course, but, you're happy for him.
The place you live in is that much more drab and empty that they're gone.
I do understand that. I do. Can you imagine your best friend who helps you survive in hell, goes away?
I want to try to talk some sense to him. Tell him the way things are.
I mean, if only you could. If only you could. And you can hear how sincere he is.
So you go on and stamp your form, Sonny, and stop wasting my time.
I mean, any prisoner who is that eloquent, I'm like, you are ready to be rehabilitated. You passed the test. I mean, they have, in the history of doing this, there's no way they got an answer like that ever before. I don't think it's super realistic that that's what would get him out, but it is such a badass moment, and what an amazing monologue, both in the writing and in the delivery. Like, just top tier stuff right there. I mean, surreal, I don't even think begins to describe what it must be like to step beyond the walls of prison when you've been there for that long. Dang, he has to, of all the places to go, he has to go there. I mean, you literally see him following in Brooks's footsteps, and that's a terrifying, sad thought.
Restroom break, boss?
You don't need to ask me every time you need to go take a piss. Just go, understand?
I mean, old habits, it's been...
All I do anymore is think of ways to break my parole, so maybe they'd send me back.
That's crazy, though. That's crazy. I mean, it seems realistic psychologically. Like I said, I get it. But there has to be a way to overcome this.
Only one thing stops me. A promise I made to Andy.
I mean, sometimes you just need that one thing to hold on to have hope, to have a reason to continue. I don't blame you for looking around, making sure no one's, there.
Dear Red, if you're reading this, you've gotten out. I could use a good man to help me get my project on wheels. Remember, Red, hope is a good thing. Maybe the best of things. Your friend, Andy.
I mean, how could you not get emotional reading that letter after everything they've been through, to have that note and that gift left by your friend who escaped by, basically a self-performed miracle.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah, I mean, even with his hope, even with a friend, it's not like those thoughts of giving up on everything, of killing yourself, doesn't cross his mind. But he makes that choice to get busy living.
I think it's the excitement only a free man can feel.
I'm excited for you, Red. I really am.
I hope the Pacific is as blue as it has been in my dreams.
It's so cool hearing him use the word hope in his voiceover. That what a progression for his character. I mean, that has got to be the perfect shot for this movie, like the perfect ending visual with the blue Pacific, with the friends reuniting, with the boat that they've talked about rebuilding a life and a living together. It's just it's just the perfect shot. It really is. All right, so that is the Shawshank Redemption. No surprise to anyone who has seen it before. I mean, I remember enjoying the movie, but revisiting it now, and there's so much to pick up on. There's so much to appreciate. There, you know, the filmmaking, the writing, the acting, across the board, praise for all those fundamentals of a good movie. But, you know, I guess I have to start at the beginning. Like, so much credit to Stephen King, who of course is known more, I would say, for, you know, horror and scary. You know, you think of Stephen King, you think of It, or you think of Pet Sematary, but Shawshank Redemption, you know, like that is King, you know, and he has a phenomenal tale to tell. And then the way that it was adapted, I'm not sure what big differences were made or if there were a lot of changes. I feel like a lot of the quotes in the narration, they sound to me like book quotes, but just very, very good writing, kind of capturing so many powerful aspects of what it means to be human, of the human spirit, of the idea of hope. I mean, just as a larger premise, I think having a story of survival, of meaning, of purpose, of finding a reason to hope, of finding an occupation to keep you sane, of the bond of friendship, of the contrast of the way that human beings can treat each other. I think it's the setting of having this take place in a prison, in Shawshank Prison, is a perfect way to kind of demonstrate that and explore those themes and ideas. I think there are just a lot of deeper truths about life in this movie. You know, things, you know, I think a lot of the lessons are somewhat similar to the Green Mile, so I'm going to try not to repeat exactly what I said. I'm filming these reactions at different times, so I don't remember everything exactly I said, but kind of this idea of the importance of how you treat the people that you interact with no matter what. And I think it's a little bit more subtle and less emphasized in this than in the Green Mile, but you just see that throughout. You know, you see how the other prisoners and the other guards treat Andy. And you know, since we get to follow Andy from the beginning when he first enters the prison, it's not like he just immediately was received warmly. You know, people look at him as like, oh, maybe he's too stiff, maybe he thinks he's better than us, he acts stuck up, all these, you know, judgments that they initially place on him. But as anyone who gets to spend any time with him, you realize that not only is he an intelligent, cool, decent, clever type of guy, but he's also caring and considerate. And you look at two key moments, two awesome scenes in the movie, you know, when he gets beer for his friends for working doing the roofing. Like, he doesn't even have that for himself. And then with the music too, like, yes, he was happy to have the music, but how quickly his instinct is to play it for all the prisoners, because that's where he really gets his joy, his satisfaction, is in sharing that with others. And I just think that's such a perfect character trait for Andy, and it's such an inspiring type of way to live and way to be and conduct yourself, especially if you can pull that off in horrible circumstances. And when, you know, like he discussed, you know, in his conversation with Red, like it is all unfair, you know, it is completely unfair that he's in that situation. You know, I think it's pretty clear that, at least to me, the central message overall is this idea of hope. And I think that Red is a great kind of character, because when you have these larger than life kind of heroic figures, sometimes as a narration device, it's cool to have a more grounded character who's, you know, like us, the audience, we're viewing this larger than life character. And Red is kind of that more down to earth character who we get to view him watching Andy, even though he's the main character, if that makes sense. It's kind of like having Sherlock and Watson dynamic. You know, you can tell the story through the lens of the Watson character. But I think his growth is just so crucial because, of course, and you see that demonstrated through what happens with Brooks. But I like how, Red is a very smart prisoner. He's good. He knows how to survive. He's well connected. He's well liked by most people. He knows how to be valuable and how to take care of people and look after himself. But what he is uncomfortable with is the idea that there can be hope, that there can be something beyond this. And you even see that when initially, like when he gets that harmonica, it's like he doesn't trust it. He doesn't trust himself to believe in something more. And like he says to Andy, I forget his exact line, but he's saying like hope is dangerous. And I think that that's something he had to learn, when you go through something horrible, I think that psychologically a lot of times you have to embrace how bad it is, and part of that acceptance might be closing the door on hope. And I think what Andy taught Red throughout the movie and inspired him is that you by holding on to hope, you actually keep alive a part of your humanity, a part of your purpose for living that is critical. Because if you give up on that completely, even though it might be okay and help you accept the horrible circumstances that you're in, ultimately, like, you you miss out on some very valuable things, and you might not be able to survive when you eventually get out of prison. So I just think the whole way that that was handled, the writing of it, the execution, that whole character arc, the way that that just flowed so naturally and fit in with the themes of everything in this movie is just, it's a master class of communicating an idea and of telling a story in this movie. Yeah, it's this is just one of those movies. It reminds me kind of like Forrest Gump. I really can't pinpoint it. Actually, a lot of these classic movies that I'm watching and kind of assessing and analyzing, so many of them I feel like can't really be boxed into a category. Like I want to label this as a drama, but I feel like that does not properly capture the genre of what this movie is. I mean, it's hope, it's inspiring, it's tragic, it's sad, it's interesting, it's a character study, it's a study about humanity and human nature. It's so many things, and the story just tells itself in such a natural, fitting, flowing way, in a way that I just think is so rare to see in movies nowadays. And I'm sure there's the effect of nostalgia of like looking back in the day and being like, oh, movies used to be so much better. And I think it's hard to you can try as hard as you want, but it is hard not to have at least some of those rose-colored glasses, some of that nostalgia, some of those missing the old days. But I also think that it is just obvious to anyone who watches movies now. You go to the theaters, like I cannot think of a movie that I've seen recently that was a contemporary film that dealt with the subject matter and felt like this and gave me feelings like this. So, and it's kind of sad because I wish more films did, if that makes sense. But at this point, I'm not going to focus on the complaining. I'm just going to be grateful that a movie like this exists. I mean, heck, if any movie wants to make you feel grateful, watching this really does. Similar to Castaway, I am just grateful for how many of the basic luxuries that I have in my day-to-day life, my freedom, just so many things it's very easy to take for granted. Just the fact that I have my own bed, that I can wake up, that I can walk outside and breathe in the fresh air, that I have the ability to go down and like see the beach if I wanted to. These things that for a lot of us, we're fortunate enough just to have easy access to. But when you see people who don't have it, it's just a nice reminder that's always helpful to appreciate it, because not everyone does. But heck, I don't want to get too preachy. I love this movie, a lot to praise about it. And there's so many great themes touched on. There's a critique of the whole prison system and how people can reform and be accepted back again into society. Just lots to discuss. So anyone who has thoughts or commentary, or if there's things that I missed or messages that you think I interpreted wrong, please feel free to share those in the comments. Definitely feel like there's a lot of great discussions to be had about the Shawshank Redemption. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I will be reacting to Schindler's List, which I have never seen, so that reaction will be coming out next week on YouTube. It's out right now, the full version on Patreon. Thank you to everyone for watching along. If you do enjoy these reactions, please consider subscribing. Yeah, but thank you to everyone, and as always, remember, be active, be mindful, and be a hero.